Okay, pretty sure I started this correctly. Hi.
Hello.
Oh,
Woo.
okay. You know the drill. James isn't here today, so he can't do the percussion intro. But hello, welcome to a Band Batch live stream episode. Today we're going to talk about the Bad Batch episode 304, season 3, episode 4, and it will be nice to just talk about one episode as opposed to the 3 episodes last year. Last year, oh God.
Last year. Well, I felt, yeah, right.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Last week.
Oh. I think we started this multiple episode thing last season because they would do these multi-drops and we didn't want to be behind and our schedules were weird. I can't remember why, but I remember it happening.
Yeah. Anyway, how James isn't here, and there is a part that I could have sworn that he was going to do. So maybe we'll have the same prediction of what that is. But why don't we start with and people in chat can give an overall thoughts of the music and sound in this episode, or anything that stood out to you. And Justin and Christina, feel free to chime in, or just go to an example.
I'll chime in because
Christina's eating. That's right.
eating. I'll take this opportunity. Here's my end.
Thank you, Justin.
You're welcome. This was a fun episode. I really, for one, we sometimes talk about all these things. Like the episode I had a great time with. There was some dynamics that I really, really enjoyed, and then there's some things I wish it would have done, or I wish it would have gone, and I'm surprised in the direction it went towards the end. But I wasn't dissatisfied personally with the episode. There wasn't a whole lot there's a few moments that stood out to me musically and sonically. To me, it was a lot of action music again in some particular scenes, a lot of sneak music, as I like to call it, and then some beautiful, gorgeous, strong moments in a couple spots I'm sure we're going to talk about. But I was... Oh, I'm a little low volume. Can you hear me now better?
That's better.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, that is nicer.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. The answer is sometimes 2 dB. Who knew?
Or just getting closer to the mic.
Yes, that is true. Well, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Some nice moments, a lot of action music, but then a lot of
action music, things like
and
that.
sneaky.
Of course, sneaky. Of course, I think the big musical moment was the very, very end, when we have the Omega and Crosshair reuniting with Wrecker and Hunter at the very end. I had this big musical moment. I don't know if we want to just jump into that one or if we want to lead into that one or not.
Let's get into that in a bit. Let's start with some smaller stuff.
Yeah.
Because it looks like Christina. I can start with an example, unless someone else wants to go.
I got a spot.
Okay, go for it.
Can you, let's see here, can you...
Okay, wait, for people who haven't been to a Band Batch stream in a while, we're doing a game right now where we're going to play little musical moments from the episode, and then we'll try to guess when that happened.
Okay. Where did this happen? I got 2 of these that are very similar.
Is that your own sample of Sirens?
No, I don't. I think.
Oh no, that was that was a live siren
Okay.
on the street.
No, that was
Okay. That was... Hello, Matthew. That was going together very well in my head. Was anyone else thinking that those were related? Or am I the only one?
For a moment, I thought, oh, that was kind of... I didn't know I put that in there, but
Yeah.
I was just going with it. I'll give a hint in this one too. This you would hear it in this pattern in like a 4, bum 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 bum, and then it would kind of sneakily switch into 3s, bum 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 bum. For counting, that's like 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3 4, kind of changing where that accent is.
Do you have a guess, Christina? Does anyone in the chat have a guess? It feels related to what we were talking about last week with the like kind of heartbeat music.
It totally is.
Yeah.
It absolutely. They did it. They did it again in this episode. I think like twice. So I wanted to
Yeah.
point that out.
I have a story anecdote to add about the heartbeat, which is I had twice I heard my heartbeat intensely while I was listening to this episode during these specific parts, because I specifically watched Ziggy, don't do it. I specifically watched the episodes in the hot tub. And so my body temperature was really high, and you can like hear your heartbeat
like conducting through your body.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I was having to be like, okay, like that is the part that's in me and not related to the you can't tell entirely.
No.
I'm impressed that you watched this in a hot tub. I'm gonna ask more follow-up questions later about how your computer didn't get wet.
Any guesses on?
I do have a guess.
Where that came in.
Yes.
I do have a guess, and my guess is I don't see any guesses in the chat. So my guess is when Omega is beating Captain Man at cards.
Yes.
Or yes, okay.
Oh yes. What was your other guess? Sorry,
my other
jumped
guess
on that one.
My other guess was like when Omega and Crosshair are kind of like running on the run after that.
Sneaky sneak.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because the other, quite literally, I think the other thing I had programmed here was that.
When they're running away, when they're on the run?
Specifically when they're jumping the fence to go save Batcher.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we get into the Crosshair Omega sneaky sneak. But yeah, they kind of use this heartbeat thing twice in this episode. And one of the spots, that particular spot where they're kind of like going between this kind of accented rhythm, was Omega beating Officer Man. Is that his name?
Captain Man. Yeah.
Captain Man.
With two N's.
Okay. Captain Man. Captain the Man. The man. Right. He's when she was beating him and things were getting a little tense right there. You can totally hear that heartbeat thing happen again. And I'm pretty sure they did it during the Nalase scene as well.
Mm-hmm.
When Hemlock was talking to Nalase, you could hear it in the background again, which I thought was interesting. But it's very much part of the music and not trying to be source sound of their heartbeat.
Right.
But it's imitating very, very strongly a heartbeat.
I liked it in the scene where Omega's beating Captain Man at the card game, because what's coming out of his mouth, first of all, it's paired with my headphones.
That's right. This is all underneath other music.
Right. So in that instance, like Captain Man is ostensibly, he's saying, "You beat me fair and square," like, and you're like, okay, so it's fine, but the music's saying it's not fine still.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that underlying heartbeat thing, and then there's also like the violins are just sustaining. You're like, when you have a high sustained note with like boom boom, you're not in the clear yet, obviously.
That's fun too, because here's the music, like you said, telling us that it's not okay yet.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like and I guess we can kind of guess that anyways, being Imperial, being the situation, kind of guess, okay, he's gonna catch them or something's gonna happen. It's a tense moment, but it really, it for a second there, it lets you think it's gonna be okay, very very briefly, and then it immediately turns back again after he hears the news of the shuttle. I think he was gonna find them anyways, right?
Yeah.
He
Probably.
was just gonna find them anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, he already knew there was something going on with them. That was a really good scene. I took a few notes, just like chronologizing the entire scene, starting with at like around 8 minutes and 30 seconds ish, when Omega and Crosshair are outside and they're like, how are we going to get the 30,000 credits? And a pair of stormtroopers or some kind of troopers walk out of the bar, and we hear the diegetic bar music coming out of the bar through the door. And then the door closes, and then we can hear the music again, quieter. And oh yeah, Farron's.
I'm trying to take some notes.
Nice.
James isn't here.
Notes.
James isn't here, so we're gonna use his little extra box for something.
Yeah, notes. That's good.
Yeah, we'll see how I can keep up. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess that's kind of cool, because then I had just noted that at 8:30-ish is where that starts, and at 12:50 is kind of where that is coming to an end. So it's like kind of a 4-minute-ish scene.
Wait, what started at 8:50? Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, it's okay. So around 8:30 is when Omega and Crosshair are considering how to get 30,000 credits, and
Yes.
they're in the street, and the door of the bar opens, and a pair of troopers walks out, clinking their credits, and you hear the diegetic music from the bar,
which I think is
coming out of the door.
Yeah, it's sounding
beat,
industrial
right?
and everything. Oh, you're talking about the diegetic music.
Yeah, there was kind of a frame drum sound. Yeah.
Nice.
And then it would have like this like kind of thing going on.
Nice.
And some other kind of
Totally.
blended with it blended a little with the soundtrack too occasionally. But yeah, it was this diegetic music. It's not quite Sid's Jukebox, but it's I'm sad that we don't get a little bit. Maybe we'll get a little bit more Sid's Jukebox this season. That was a fun thing from the first season.
I could. Yeah, it's fine.
I think it was fun.
No, I think it's fun too. I would love to go to a bar where there's like more of a different genre of something, because it starts to sound kind of samey to me.
That's true. Here's another example of some industrial bar music with some kind of weird drum-ish sound.
Yeah. The source music in this episode made me really think about like the genres that are in vogue and that are appropriate for certain settings in this time period, and it made me kind of just want to do a much bigger galactic, like galaxy-wide music tour survey of the musical landscape.
I feel like this would be the perfect group to like put together some kind of like map, like the galaxy map or something like that, of like what kinds of music has been heard in what parts of it. I think that'd be kind of, because we've heard space techno, we've heard space rock, if we want to count Visions. We've heard all sorts of things in Solo, things in A New Hope. That's interesting.
There's also the music that's described in the books, and there's ones that are canon, ones that aren't canon, but some of the music is pretty clearly described to the extent, and now that I think about it, a lot of the audiobooks have really detailed soundtracks that take effort to recreate whatever it was that was in the book. For example, in the High Republic series, of course, like the Nihil love to listen to their
Wreck punk,
scary industrial wreck punk, yes. And then of course we can zoom out to the Chiss ascendancy, and there's a nice scene where they're like some of the characters are at a music festival, and they talk about the form of the music. Like Timothy Zahn describes that the music is very cyclic and kind
Mm-hmm.
of coming back to the same thing, and just so I find that kind of interesting,
Me too.
for sure.
Same. And Lisa, I have a question. What's that white synth call do you use to make that siren sound? And Justin is answering it in the comments, but that was just real life Los
The
Angeles.
siren was a real siren.
That was a real animal. Yeah,
That's really
fire
funny.
truck driving by.
That was diegetic to
Yeah, to the
Christina's
stream.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do one. Or, sorry. No. No, nothing.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Anybody want to?
Anyone want to guess for that?
I do have a guess for that.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see if anybody in the chat wants to give a guess on Xanthe's example.
Matthew is correct. They're not about this. This is something else. There are 2 albums from Galaxy's Edge called Rex's Playlist Number 1 and 2 from Music Around Star Wars
fun.
Universe. And I've definitely heard both of them. And I still think that those albums are kind of samey. I think there's some fun tracks on them, but I think they're obviously meant to be for Rex's playlist for the bar. So I think even that is just like already curated picks for a specific location. You know, like unless you have a true jukebox where people can pick like a wide variety of, I don't know how that works. Like whatever you put in the jukebox. I feel like the Star Wars jukeboxes that we get are pretty much like a jukebox of one genre, 1 or 2 genres.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you go to the the bubble opera.
Yeah, and there's a lot that we don't see. Like that's a good point. Like we don't really have. I don't think I can picture any of the characters that we see in the movies and shows going. I don't think they go to the theater or the opera, and we follow them there. I haven't even really seen very many like dance clubs, which definitely exist. There's probably a lot of different kinds of dance things going on, and
And maybe there's the equivalent of
symphonic.
like here there'll be like 90s night or like, I don't know, various things. I wonder what like themes, musical themes they'll do. Anyway,
Can you imagine, like,
Totally.
yeah, just
Going back to that
pre-Empire
bar
parties.
scene.
or
Oh, wait, no, going back to the guess.
yeah, the guess.
I went
Okay.
back 2, not 1.
Go ahead, Justin.
I don't have a guess.
I'm pretty sure that as Omega and Crosshair are crashing in
Yes.
the beginning of the episode, we get that part stuck out to me among like kind of the more actiony stings that were happening. You get those. I wrote swirling strings, which usually to me means like arpeggiations like that. Kind of, and we had these like descending chromatics from like the horns. As they were, you get that curve of the ship.
Yep. Yeah, and it kind of would change keys and stuff. Yeah, violin arpeggiated action ostinato as they're like nosediving as Omega and Crosshair plummet. I have a little transcription if you want to see that.
Yes.
I also have always too many like tabs and stuff open, so it is here. Okay, I've called it plummeting shuttle. Yeah. Pretty simple.
Classic.
different keys.
Yeah.
that riff or that combination of notes, I guess we could say the any of those kinds of things reminds me always screams to me. You know how everyone has something they associate a sound or a melody or whatever with, that always hails back to like Lord of the Rings for me.
Oh.
There's a line in what it's like a big Rivendell thing if you're a Lord of the Rings fan.
Also the Force theme.
Yep, all those. It always just screams back because like later on, I wrote slow strings, ominous Lord of the Rings riff. I think that was part of Hemlock and Nalase talking. Anyways, but that little that combination of notes always like reminds me of that. Not that it was at all related to that.
It also reminds me of this. Are you familiar with this violin piece?
Yes. What's it called?
Zigeunerweisen.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the name, but I know that intro.
That's what those opening notes do for me every time. I'm like, oh, Zigeunerweisen.
Who's the composer?
Sarasate.
Ah.
Yeah, it's a fun piece.
Interesting.
Do you want to?
I also made a Lord of the Rings note.
Oh, please share.
I was also like, oh, that's super Lord of the Ringsy, but it's toward in that like orchestral thing at the end, which we'll like get to at a point. But I thought it was funny that we both had a Lord of the Rings moment.
That is funny.
But I wanted to kind of like continue my narration of like when they go to the bar, in between entering the bar and the Sabak game, there was kind of a nice. I really enjoyed how. I mean, so we get the diegetic music. We've got this kind of. I thought it was kind of drums with a kind of frame drum sound. It was like very wooden and mostly metal sounds with a little bit of wood, like very dry sounds, and then a very like wet, sizzly cymbal.
Yeah.
For the kind of the hi-hat vibes.
Yeah.
And then when Omega starts playing Sabak with the Reptilian person, a nice like drony, whiny texture comes in, and it just kind of increases, and it increasingly sounds like. I guess what I'm saying is like when you first hear it, it's just like this whiny background thing, and then as I think they change the parameters of the sound until eventually it sounds like where it becomes apparent that it is in fact a string instrument, and you're like, oh, okay, so these are like the strings coming in, and then what's cool, so basically you've got the drums, the strings happen, and then the drums all drop out and the strings are the only thing that's remaining there, kind of like creating some space, kind of, I want to say like in between 9 and 10 minutes in.
Okay.
And then and I thought it was kind of funny, but as what was his name? Captain Man. As Captain Man came in, the brass joins the temperature as the top brass of the Empire walks in. I thought that was cute.
Yep. Yeah, like at around 11.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the first time you hear, like, in that scene, like a clear brass.
I heard it as bass, though, so maybe I'm thinking of a different place.
Yeah, maybe so. I did actually write 10:14 as my sound cue for the brass joining, but
okay, 10:14. Oh yeah, I wrote that too. Brass thing before cops show up.
It's just like kind of a classic.
More of pads,
like,
not like
there
melody.
Must be some.
Oh wait, no.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. It is like 10:10 ish.
Oh, cool. Just a
I'm
little
listening.
earlier.
Yeah. And then okay, no, it was kind of melodic anyway. Anyway, it was like a before 10:10. Anyway, you're right. I don't know where Justin went, but these are
Nice.
frame
Yeah.
drums.
So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If James were here, he could
Love
show
good frame
his
drum.
frame drum, but they do have a sound that once you know, it's easier to match that.
Yeah. Because the way they move it, it moves up and down, and you can like hear the.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the boom, like there's like a distinct bounce to it or something. Oh, but also you can I feel like you can really hear the materials of it. Anyway, I shouldn't talk about drum
It's a
stuff
cool
with
kind of
too much
drum.
authority. Speaking of Captain Man, I'm gonna put on some strings. Okay. Imagine a high sustained and then. That happens at 11. A little Captain Man melody. I wonder if we'll hear it again. I'm guessing probably not, but it is
Yeah.
pretty, but maybe. I mean, it is pretty classic for like a villainous type of theme. It's really low. It has augmented seconds, meaning the space between the F natural and the G sharp. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so that's Captain Man. Where did Justin go? Oh, Justin probably has a phone call from his terrified student. He said at any point, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
I see.
Okay,
I see.
so there were a few interesting musical moments before this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did anything stand out to you?
There was one kind of nice part from I liked. Oh, I forgot to write what was going on then, but from 5:45 to 6:15, there was a nice airy, resonating, misty percussion drum set synth. That is what I
Wait,
wrote.
what was the timestamp?
5:45 to 6:15.
5:45, and it sounded
You could.
like
I thought it was like a kind of like a drum set situation, but just a nice, fully percussion.
yeah. I agree. This is the part where I wrote James will definitely do this percussion part at 6-ish.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I was
good.
kind of excited to see how he would map it out. Yeah.
Me too. Oh well. Yeah. James, we need you for the percussion
Totally.
stuff. Goodness.
We
So
need you for
11
this, James.
Captain Man theme, bass, ominous. Note taking is going okay. It's not.
There's
Okay.
also,
Yeah, go
let me
ahead.
see. There was also slightly before that, I loved quote when Nalase says anything beautifully, and she said, and when Hemlock is like, "Oh, can you believe that Omega escaped across here?" And no one imitates Hemlock like that. They're too terrified.
Yeah.
Um, but but Nalase goes, "That is most surprising." Like she has a very, or like that is most surprising. She has a very pitched melodic way of speaking here, and she really holds on to the N sound, which really helps produce that melodic situation when you keep that is most surprising.
Yeah. I'm so fascinated with how she talks. I want to hear her. I just want to hear her read. Like, I want to write something for her to just read. I don't know, a grocery list or something.
Oh, that'd be great. I would like that.
Just like what? How would that come out? So speaking of Nala Se, there was quite a pretty little theme, I guess. Okay, this will do. Okay. As we were opening up into Nala Se's her cell, just a nice little string bit. Yeah.
Yeah, the strings did a good job transitioning from the crash to Nala Se.
And then it goes directly into like. And then it went into Hemlock's theme. I forgot how that goes. Why did I forget how that goes? K-pop Times! Good to see you! Yes, the N sound adds real resonance. I wonder if that's because, like, when making the N sound, like, I can feel it vibrating up the back of my palate or whatever. You know what I mean, Christina?
Yeah, it's your palate and your whole sinus can resonate nicely.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel it like even up here.
Yeah. Like I can feel it inside of me. Yeah, no, I can.
Yes.
I agree that the chord at the end of that string part is nice. It's more like. And then it goes directly into. The Clone Conspiracy / Hemlock's thing. So I guess it's really slow. Let me see if I can do it on just real violin, but like. There's no F sharp. I can't go low enough to get that low note, but and then D. Or whatever that was. Yeah. We're talking about opening up into Nala Se's cell.
Thank you. Sorry about that, everybody.
It's okay.
At the beginning, yeah.
There.
Yes, it had
I keep
that
tilting
very.
these.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that Lord of the Rings thing that I was.
Oh, that's another Lord of the Rings thing. Okay,
yeah,
that's what you mean?
Before I
the Rivendell moment.
Coming all back. Yeah. That was very good.
We do love a double stop moment, K-pop Times, but only when they're in tune. Yeah. I liked that part with Nala Se. I think was the clone another interesting part, a brief little thing when she's trying to do the bribe. First of all, I think it's really funny when she tries to do the bribe because she's obviously like learned from someone's example and is actually doing a shockingly good job doing it. Like
she did so well. So
I'm
smooth.
like, Omega's way more functional than I am. I was pretty impressed.
I I love Omega's like arc from naive and kind of a burden to I'm learning things to just being a chaos machine. I'm still laughing at like, well, let's just steal the Emperor's ship. Oh, okay, yeah, calm down. And then this one where it's like, well, we're gonna free all the animals, of course, right? It's like, yes, Omega, we're gonna free all the animals
Yeah.
and then steal the biggest ship that we have here. But yeah, the bribe, another use of voice modulator
Oh yeah, for
too.
the
Mm-hmm.
agent or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you have your flute?
Yeah. Yes. Hold on.
Putting
Stay
Justin
there.
on the spot because it was solo woodwinds.
There's a bunch of cool woodwind moments.
Mm-hmm.
While I'm doing this, I'm gonna say, I had a thought about voice modulators in Star Wars, like in world. I'm curious if it's like, if some are for translation, perhaps, some are for disguising. You know, if you want to disguise your voice for whatever reason, or if it's fashion. I had a thought about,
That's
especially
good.
this character, if it was like a fashion thing, like I'm gonna have my voice modulator on today, you know, with the look and the mask. Like, I'm curious if there's like, it could be considered fashion, which is kind of funny.
I really like
That's
that idea.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like if I'm wearing some different glasses, it's like now I've got my different
Got a
voice
different voice
modulator
on.
on.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of a cool way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fast. How fast?
It's sorry.
is
It's.
this?
I think it might. Dee, 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 dee.
Like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Nice.
And I'm sure it was like kind of like that sneaky. Little nah.
Well, that sounded really good, Justin.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, it's actually a little slower, but the first time I think it's on bassoon.
It was changing instruments, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was an octave lower, at least.
Because I had definitely written sneaky eighth note, lots of wind. Oh, lots of wind.
And then it's up a minor third. But hey, that first four notes. I'm glad you intuited that there was an E flat there because I left that out. So, oh wait, no, never mind. I wrote it in the lower key. No, okay, no, it's good.
Yeah,
it's a half step between we're good.
No, I'm the same way. I do like all accidentals. I don't write key signatures.
I write key signatures sometimes, but not when it's just like a little
Yeah.
throw off little thing. Yeah, but those same four notes. So like these there's nothing special like thematically about, but you know, it's whether it's or all those other examples we were mentioning. Or the Lord of the Rings thing, or the Force theme.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. K-pop times. Did you have any did anything stick out to you in this episode? And Matthew, Lisa, Joel, we can move on to other examples if you have another one, Justin. I have like a couple more.
I don't think I have any specific examples. I tried to make the modulator voice, and I've got a totally different thing programmed up on Shelly right now. Shelly's my modular synth, everybody. You've seen her in the past. I have a totally different thing, and I couldn't get it to like be, without destroying what I'm currently trying to record. But I had written sad woodwinds for I'm Not Leaving Her. When Omega was like, I'm not gonna leave Batcher. How does these sad woodwinds going on?
I think that was like at 1533.
Let me get into
I wrote 15. Yeah.
The sneaky sneak.
You know what it reminded me?
Sneaky sneak.
If we're doing what stuck out to us. Okay, wait. Since Justin brought this up, let's continue on that I refuse to leave her section with the sad woodwinds. That part, so if you go back and listen, it starts at 1533. Again, I wish we could just play direct examples. I'll play some, but let me just put back the regular piano. Okay. Reminded me of like Debussy. And then it was D half diminished seventh. It kind of swelled. But that was a really pretty moment that was orchestrated in like, I don't know. Maybe it's the descending like bass line that reminded me, or maybe it's the rhythm. It was like, I don't know.
I can tell you what stood out about that moment to me was the kind of it connected to the thematic concept of that moment. I feel like the pitches were alternating a little bit. There was a little bit of a feeling of two notes being prevalent, like, and it's just switching between the two of them. And I look at that as so musically speaking, that was very common in music from Debussy because he was often interested in just kind of planing the same thing up and down and up and down. He does a lot of
with like shifting chords.
He loves to do that. And in addition, I think it connects to I guess the theme of the episode, it's like the one thing I didn't write down. What was the title of the episode? It's diverging paths, or like a different path. So I feel like this episode approach is all about like Omega has one thing that like a way, and Crosshair has a way, and they have very different ways. And I think this episode is this moment is really about like Omega's way versus Crosshair's way, and the eternal struggle of that. And I think that might be why it feels Debussy-ish, because Debussy doesn't often resolve things. It's usually just kind of like a moment preserved in time. It's just like, yeah, they're never going to be the same person. They're and I think this melody feels like that.
Yeah, and I think just like, I mean, also the orchestration felt like that with like the solo wood, like the woodwind on top. I'm thinking like Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun or something. The kind of this part, like, I don't know. And then of course like a major seventh chord, which is like in the impressionistic period, kind of lots more like jazziness and stuff. But anyway, I think also I feel like felt derived from the normal Omega theme to me. Maybe.
I was about to say too, it gives me a little bit of da, 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 da,
right.
A little bit of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a really beautiful moment, I thought.
It really was. Mm-hmm. And it's shortly followed by an exciting moment of the classic stampede. We've got elephant sounds, bird warbles.
Yeah.
We've got Jurassic Park sounding things. We've got the sound of animals running into people. Just that kind of classic hilarious, like like you got knocked over by a wildebeest looking thing.
So both Ender and Matthew spoke of animal sounds. Were these? Were you noticing it during this specific part, or were you noticing it earlier? Arc Fonts saying, we heard a porg sound but saw no porgs. So where was the porg sound again? And then in Galaxy's Edge, there's a creature stall with a lot of animal sounds, but also elsewhere in bushes you hear animal sounds in the background.
I'm curious if they just have, if just like ship and blaster sounds, there's a Star Wars library of just Star Wars approved, use them whenever you need them sounds kind of a thing. And I'm sure there's a whole hard drives full of creature sounds that have been used and not used.
I'm sure there is.
I could.
Did David
While they
W.
were
Collins do
sneaking
this
in-
one? While they're sneaking in was the Porg. Interesting. Yeah, okay. That would make sense. So you could hear it more easily. Yeah.
I'm hearing roars in the background. Yeah. Oh, haha, I do hear it, Arc Fons.
Which can you...
It sounds very much like a Porg. Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very close to a Porg, if not just the Porg sound with a little filter to make it sound a little different.
Yeah. But we didn't see one. Do you think it's implied that that there is a Porg that is in captivity here somewhere?
I'm sure he mentions Mr. Man, Captain Dude mentions that there's a strict no pets policy kind of a thing, but it feels like he's like running an animal underground, like a
Right.
whole operation beyond just there's no pets allowed. Like, I know
Right.
he
So
was
we'll
being trying
confiscate
to
your
be
pets so I can build up my zoo.
Yeah, I know he was trying to be silly, but like evil and silly. But I feel like he's running a whole underground thing. It was definitely for those that are fans of Jurassic Park, very like a Jurassic Park moment. It called back to. There's a moment in the very first Jurassic Park film where they're out on a field and they see a herd of Gallimimus, which are these dinosaurs that look like ostriches. If you just need a very quick reference, they kind of look like big ostriches without the feathers. And in this episode, they definitely Bad Batch. They definitely had these like ostrich-looking dinosaur Gallimimus, two-legged, long-necked things running through. So it was definitely if it wasn't an overt reference to the first Jurassic Park film, it was a very unintentional, coincidental reference to the first Jurassic. Oh, we all left. Oh, surprise episode, everybody!
Rise of Skywalker.
Surprise.
My bad. Pressed some shortcut. I thought I was making some text bold, but then it was changing my scene. Yeah. Ready to talk about Rise of Skywalker? Yeah. Anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, lots of great animal sounds in that. That must have been fun to like just make a collage as an editor or sound designer, just a collage of animals hitting things and running in and screaming.
Also a scene from
Yes,
the Lost
that is
World
true,
reference.
Archons. That's right. Where they also just release a bunch of dinosaurs in captivity in the second Jurassic Park film. That's right. That's a great scene too.
Nice. So I think 16 minutes is where I'm going to note the stampede animal frenzy. Yeah. So Captain Man's death was pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
Did we know what the creature was? It never showed what it was.
I think it was a Rathtar.
Kind of implied,
right?
That
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
Ouch. I mean,
yeah. Well, they were shocking it, so that's what you get.
yeah.
That's what
I'm
you
surprised
get.
yeah.
I'm sad that James isn't here, having defended the giant swamp beast. Here's the animals get revenge, like all the innocent creatures that we have destroyed in all these episodes. Like, here's the revenge of the Star Wars creatures.
Absolutely.
Okay, should we talk about the end?
Actually, I got one more right in this scene, and then I would love to talk about the end. Anyone notice the I can't imitate it. My partner can, but I can't imitate it. The Stormtrooper scream as he
That was at
as he
2040,
gets.
the classic person screaming.
But I was sad that it wasn't the Wilhelm scream, because I thought that would have been kind of a funny little moment to put that like a little, because that's what they always use is the Wilhelm scream.
I think they did that in like the last episode. Maybe.
One of them, right? They definitely had that, but this was just like a little, kind of just gets blown away. It was very fun. I didn't notice it the first time I watched it until I rewatched it this morning.
Wait, what's the timestamp on it?
Oh, it's like right at the end. Let me find it.
I think it's at 2040, or at least that's what I wrote.
Is it a sharp scream, like a short one, or is it like a long, drawn out one?
It's very.
Was
short.
it? Oh, is it like?
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's at like 2047.
It's like 2030s.
Kind of
it's like 2035.
The blaster engines. Yeah, the jet engines.
Yeah. It's good.
Where is it?
It's like 2035 or 37.
2037, 2036. Yeah. That whole area. You hear that?
Yeah.
My dad pointed out. I watch all these episodes with my dad. He's in San Diego, and we just press play at the same time. And he said, I think that's the first time in any of these shows that I've seen a character stand behind a ship and actually get blown away by the force of the blast of the jet propulsion. Where the rest of the time they just seem to stand there and everything's fine.
That's
thought
funny.
that was kind of funny.
Yeah. I was going to try to do it again, but then I was like, it's easier to do it the first time, and then second time it's like, how do I recreate what I just did?
Right.
But I think the pitch
you got it pretty spot on that first time. That was good. That was pretty good.
Thank you. 17. Go ahead.
I just realized that like before the final end thing, I really liked the orchestral music as we're descending on Hemlock's team investigating the scene. That was just a nice.
Toward the end?
Yeah, I wrote that it was like, it had to be before
this part.
Sometime in between 21 and 22, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
That was we were hearing the clone facility themes for sure. Which let me put up on screen to remind. Dee, 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 dee.
Mm-hmm.
Dee, 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 dee.
Yeah.
So in this case, you're going. Okay, sorry. I'm trying.
Like, where are these notes? And when we hear it with Hemlock, it's that like. It's like that very low, stringy cello, double bass.
And then we also we're hearing some of the, I don't know, like imperial-ish. I'll call them like imperial stinger, like chord progression kind of fanfare thing, where it's like utilizing the same chords as the Imperial March, but not like that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which we've heard throughout the Bad Batch, using themes based on those chords. And Andor did it at least once. I think that's a way to evoke Imperials without using the same theme. So Crosshair finally gets his way, and I was like, I was really, Crosshair has been so patient this whole episode, I feel.
Yeah,
So
he
patient.
has.
Yeah, because like he just has been letting her, like, I feel like, okay, not saying that Crosshair's like a good parent because he hasn't like actually really raised her, but like he was a pretty good adult caretaker of this scene. I feel like he has his own, he's not like as personable as Wrecker or whatever. He grumbles while going like, "Oh, great," and stuff like that. But he did really let her carry out her plan for far longer than he was super comfortable, and let her lead and stuff. Until, and then also took charge when finally she was ready, like waited until she was ready to go, like, "Okay, let's do your plan actually."
Right.
I thought it was pretty good.
It was super nice of him, but like interestingly put for him. I feel like at the same time he knew he could at any moment step in and kind of be like, no. This is a very, very, very bad idea. Versus, okay, let's see this out kind of a thing. I really liked this duo. And we'll talk about this when we're talking about the end. I'm a little sad that we don't get maybe 2 or 3 more episodes of just them hanging out and like learning about each other and figuring out their dynamic, and then in the end find out that they become better friends than the rest of them. I don't know. Maybe friendship was the treasure all along, but I really liked this dynamic because there's a point where Crosshair just has to trust Omega, who he has not worked with at all for like a couple half episodes, sort of bit, kind of a thing. He doesn't know anything about her, and the only time he's met her is when she was a lot more naive and not this like little adventure machine kind of a thing.
Because he's like a little bit impressed.
Right. I think he's kind of going like, who are you, kind of a thing, which is really interesting. And I'm sure he's confused why she's dedicated to him too, because again, she barely knows him, and all she's known of him is him trying to catch them. Even if their goal was to like get him back on the team.
I feel like Omega is giving him something that he hasn't gotten from his brothers, because I think there was a time, I think at the end of season 1, Crosshair was like, he could have been invited back into the Bad Batch if they hadn't been so judgmental of him, and they kind of rejected him, and that kind of drove him further into his anti-Bad Batch path. Alexa, turn off the AC.
It's off.
Okay.
Everyone watching this episode's AC will now turn off if you have.
And now what she has shown since the previous episodes is that she won't leave him behind. Like, it's kind of like unconditional love almost. And he has not gotten that from his brothers, who are very like, they've been ready to give up on him sooner than Omega has. And I feel like he wasn't ready to be given up on, but like, I understand everyone has their limits, but Omega, I feel like is going to be very healing for him.
Yeah, and when there was that giving up moment, he was much more in the mindset of, no, I am doing the right thing. This is my world, and it was
because he was being valued by them and not by his brothers. Can you imagine if they grew together a lot more, and then when they finally reunite with the Bad Batch, they come into conflict? Fertile ground for a show where this wasn't the last season. Yeah.
I think they could still have done it with this being the last season.
Yeah.
Just like a few more episodes. Like if when they got to the planet, which is the point where we're getting to here, if they got to the planet and Hunter and Wrecker weren't there, could have been an interesting moment too, of like, they're not coming, they never got the message, or they get it too late, and they and we get a couple more episodes with them trying to like figure things out.
Yeah, and Crosshair's got to be so nervous.
Omega has an interesting, almost motherly love like given that she and Nalase were like watching the clones be developed and things like that. Like I get the feeling that Omega like saw them in the tube at the get-go and then saw them grow up and saw them be like I feel like she was there for all of that and she has a kind of objective, unconditional motherly love for them that they can't like they're to the
In
other
it.
Bad Batch members who aren't Crosshair don't recognize maybe that they maybe don't recognize that some of Crosshair's more difficult traits are also gifts in their own way, and they maybe don't know how to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
Omega
that's a good
does.
point because Omega has seen she has seen the clone life cycle in a way, at least like the first until they're like deployed, more than other people. Regarding if we could do this a few more episodes, I can't say until we see what else they feel like they need to finish before the end of the season. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, I agree with that. Because yeah, what else are they going to wrap up? There's a lot of potentials.
There's all sorts of potentials. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So they get to the place where they're reuniting.
Yes. We get such an emotional, musical, triumphant and sad and happy. It bursts
I had
into
mixed feelings about it,
I know. It was. I felt the emotion.
but I felt it. I
I
think
was
overall it worked for me.
I was happy that they, you know what I mean, that feeling, kind of a thing, and it got into the da 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 da, right when they hug and it gets all major and triumphant, Wrecker and Omega. It was nice.
That part feels very Lord of the Rings to me.
Hmm.
It feels like what I call that is vastness filled. So it's like something huge, but not something huge and empty, something huge and like full of the orchestra. Kind of the
Mm.
idea of the opposite of loneliness, or um, which is to me a Lord of the Rings feeling. Also a Dvorak kind of new world turn of the century,
Oh,
continuing with our turn of the century music, starting with WC. You know,
Hmm.
I feel
and
like
Omega's theme
this
isn't,
episode has a lot of that.
or I guess it wasn't Omega's theme at the end, but Omega's theme is interestingly very Dvorakian, I guess, New World Symphony-ish. But the Bad Batch theme, like you were hearing it slowly on strings, like. Right? I can't
Hmm.
remember the rhythm exactly. And I think at first it's like kind of the plunky piano kind of just melody, counter melody type of thing. And then but you're saying the vastness filled, is that the part where the strings fill in? Is that what you were referring to as the Lord of the Rings type of thing, Christina?
Yes,
Okay.
after it's
When they see each other.
right after Hunter has arrived. So first there's Wrecker, then there's Hunter, and then I feel like it goes very Lord of the Ringsy. Before that,
Hmm.
though, there was a really nice cello line when Hunter came out. Like I wrote 23:30, but it seems like I always write things that are a few seconds after when you should start.
Dee, 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 dee.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. It was like 23, 28 or something.
Yeah, I think maybe since I was watching from my phone, all my times are like delayed by however long it took Disney Plus to pause.
Yeah, it's got that little potting piano thing in the beginning.
Yeah. It was pretty. And it keeps going up. And then the Omega theme, like, it jumps in on a high note. Like,
Hmm.
except if you go listen to that. Okay, it worked for me. It worked for me, but I will say
Hmm.
it sounded definitely, it sounded maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it sounded like not real strings, and that bothered it. It took away something for me because this, especially when it got up, it was more noticeable up high in the. Because if it were a real string, I feel like you would have heard more like more vibrato, and you hear a pretty straight like.
It's pretty. Yeah, you're right.
Like it sounds a little too robotic
Christina,
to me.
your face.
Are you hearing it?
Well, and they kind of sparkle it up with wind chimes and swirly bits and stuff like that to kind of make it more magical in a way.
But the fact that they don't go into it, they just hit it cold on that high note.
Yeah, it's a very
High
weird
F sharp.
change.
It's at 2333, just sudden, just immediately, and it's like, oh, you. It sounds like also maybe it was cut off, like the attack is so immediate. It's like.
Right.
Listening to it that time, it reminded me also of Gustav Holst's The Planets Jupiter theme, where he uses kind of a chorale situation with the whole orchestra to do that.
Yep, it's very the harmonic texture is very like Jupiter from the planets.
It almost sounds like that cutoff that you're mentioning too. It almost sounds like it's one of those situations where when you're scoring for movies, depending on how you're doing it, you have that empty roll kind of going on, and you have these different tempo hits and moments in that you have to kind of like hit in the visuals if you're for certain spots of the music. And it sounded like they're almost like had just not enough time to do what they wanted to do musically, and we're like, crap, hit it right here. Like they composed that moment first and then got themselves in a small corner, and they're like, man, timpani roll, okay, I'm out, I'm good, this is great.
Do you want to explain SEMTI?
SEMTI is
I was wondering, what is that?
The SEMTI time code.
SEMTI time code. Someone please get me on what the letters mean, but it's
just like Society of Motion Pictures, Television, something. Whatever.
Time code. Basically is a fine ticking of like where we think of samples or seconds or beats and stuff like that, is a very fine point to line up film with audio and time code and all sorts of other things. So when you're scoring film, you will have like in the top of your software, you'll have that time code running. And so sometimes if you have to line stuff up so Justin is basically just saying like, maybe they had to cut off a little bit of time to meet the time code or whatever. Right. And it's funny too, because they go off of time code, and if we're writing for an orchestra, we're going off of beats per minute. And so it doesn't always work.
Perfectly line up.
So there's whole algorithms and like functions you can do in like Logic Pro and different programs that'll like you can like highlight the amount of time and be like, make this fit into 4 beats kind of a thing, and it'll like give you the tempo change that you need. Yeah. Kind of a thing. Which is pretty awesome, but also like I'm just imagining like, again, John Williams or any of the older composers in early film before this kind of stuff. How they were, they would plan these things by watching and just lining up and conducting the orchestra to the point. I'm sure with a click or something matching the film in the background, but like
when that technology was available, but not for John, not for the I also want to say it is possible that they were real strings. It is possible that they did a blend of a few real strings blended with the synth strings. But whether or not they were real is not the point. The point is either way, they were mixed in a way that made it sound not real. And that could have been to style match the rest of the stuff. It could have been because that's just what sounded, maybe the alternative ended up sounding worse for reasons that we can't here. But I would like to ask the Kiners, maybe someone, I would like to ask them what samples they use for the strings. But I don't know I don't know how protective people are of their tools and stuff, but I am curious what their method is, because some of the solo, I don't know, just some samples are better at emulating instruments than others. And I know also sometimes they do use real instruments. So there is like a mixture working. So I'm just curious what the blend is and how they make decisions or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It could be.
I guess I could tweet them. I could tweet them. What samples did you what string samples did you use for this episode?
You never know. They might answer. Or it could be that one lonely violinist in a recording booth recording the same line.
See, but then we would hear so much more, like, unless, I don't know, maybe they told the orchestra no vibrato, but then we would hear it more pitchy. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So Matthew, I saw someone point out how rescuing Batcher and then end up rescuing all the animals might be foreshadowing. That it's not enough for Omega to rescue Crosshair. She needs to rescue all of the clones. Now you're speaking my language, thematic analysis. I feel like I think that's a good point. Omega's always been about rescuing everyone, not leaving people behind.
Yes, I like.
Are we gonna rescue Tech?
Note there.
Can we rescue Tech, please? I miss Tech.
Yeah, can we rescue Tech?
Well, look, if you're interested in bringing back the dead, there is a different project. You can go into the Necromancer.
Oh yeah.
There's a project for you.
I had not connected Tech to that.
That is true. I always kind of figured that Project Necromancer was like Palpatine and the dark side realizing that there really was no way to bring back the dead in the ways that they sell people, and this is what they turn to. Is just
right. They're like, oh, I guess we're gonna make it. We're gonna change it now. We're gonna be the first ones.
We're gonna make this happen.
Yeah, like maybe
I just remembered. Did we postulate about who specifically we think they're trying to bring back from the dead?
Who
on this show? I had two immediate things that I was like, oh my gosh, like I wonder where this is going. So I thought, are they like building Snoke, some of the technology that's gonna like make Snoke come into being? That was one of my thoughts. And then my other thought was maybe they're using some Yoda cells to create Grogu.
Grogu's already been born.
Okay. I was wondering about that. I was like,
Grogu is the same age as Anakin Skywalker.
I don't like that knowledge.
I'm so sorry.
I don't like that knowledge at all.
How do you know that?
It's something
he's 50 when we meet him in.
I don't remember how I looked it up. I remember I did the math the first season of Mandalorian. I just remember being like, wait, Grogu is 50? So then he was born around 41 BBY?
Okay, Grogu birthday. He would be 41 BBY. 41 BBY.
And Anakin was born.
Walker.
Okay, he
birth
41
day.
BBY.
41.9 BBY.
He shall bring balance to the Force.
So it was Grogu all along. It was never Anakin. Wow.
So yeah, they're not making Grogu. Grogu already been made.
Nice. So maybe Snoke.
But maybe they're just working on.
But I like the idea.
Maybe like they're just trying to bring back anything at this point because it's just trials. Obviously, the overall intention is to make Palpatine live forever. But I bet they're like practicing on. Maybe this is related to the Sith Eternal or whatever is going on in Ahsoka with Thrawn's army of the dead.
The zombie troopers.
Maybe it's related to that. I like to think they're just like resurrecting, I don't know, animals at this point. Maybe porgs. I don't know.
Force-sensitive porgs.
I don't know. Or maybe they're just trying with little... they're just trying to spark to make midichlorians. Maybe they'll try to inject midichlorians into like dead plants or dead animals and see if the force finds a way to make life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay. I think they will be going back to Mount Tantus to rescue the clones and will destroy the places they escaped, setting back the whole project. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Sabayoth? I hope not.
Yeah.
But it's possible. It is possible. Okay.
All we need is Ron and Sabayoth.
So
to continue on this section, though, the ending here, we get the reuniting. We get the Bad Batch theme, slow motion, the Omega theme, slow motion. Well, I mean, a little bit more prominent with fake strings, and then we get this like very dark descending cello line for Crosshair coming out and them seeing each other for the first time. That was a very, very tense moment. And it's interesting because we just established musically and sonically. I'm feeling this, emotionally and musically, where the music is driving me, what I'm seeing on the screen and how it's working. And we get this moment of happy reuniting with Hunter and Wrecker and Omega, and then Crosshair, who they haven't seen even longer, in a longer time. And in this kind of condition or in this kind of setting, we get this very dark descending line, and then we end. And I kind of felt like I didn't like that cliffhanger. It didn't make me feel, I kind of wish they would have gone 2 more minutes or 3 more minutes and finished out a little bit more, like kept writing on this emotional drive that we had just established, and have this moment here. This is the moment, because now
I liked the cliffhanger.
But here's why I don't. This is just me. Now, after that emotional ride of the music, and it gives us this dark descending cello theme, we're in this, right? Episode ends, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum. We're going, okay, we're out of it again. It's Bad Batch theme. And then we wait a week, and then we recovered from this emotional moment. And now we're going to jump into the episode, I'm guessing here, with them reuniting. And they either need to build all that back up again for a moment, like real quickly, it'd either be a tense, or we're just kind of like not gonna make it as big as it could be this moment. I'm hopefully I'm like very, very wrong, that this whole other thing happens, but that's what it felt like to me. Like, I wish we would have continued musically and emotionally with this moment right then and there, and maybe end with some tension, but not end with like, what are their first words, or their first, like, what's gonna happen? Is Wrecker just gonna be like, buddy, and kill the tension? You never know. Or is it gonna be like, you're not getting on this ship? Like, I wish it would have been a different cliffhanger. That's all. If they had done it like just like a little bit farther into it, where it's like,
I can see how that would make it not possible to get the episode under the time length.
Right.
Because they might have
which then we could have chopped off something else, but
I think the next episode, I would like it if it started right exactly where it ended. Like, they're just facing each other, and we've seen episodes, I think, where they do start with different music. Rarely, but like, I won't necessarily bet that they will do that, though. Like, I hope for that, but I don't know if they'll do that. Yeah, I'm curious what people's thoughts are about how it ended, and but you're right, there is a bit of a palette
cleanser moment,
cleanser,
in the
that
time passing between episodes. Like, if this was like a 2-episode drop, we could continue this.
Or if you were binging
quickly.
The show, yeah.
Right. Where now it's like we've kind of like put pause on this very, very interesting moment, which I know is what cliffhangers are all about. That's the purpose of them. That's the point.
What do you think, Christina? We have someone else in agreement with Justin.
Reunions aren't everything we want them to be. And I connect this to what you were saying earlier, Xanthe, when you really honed in on the fact that the other Bad Batch members kind of gave up on Crosshair before Omega. You know, they're not, their relationship isn't just like Crosshair left and then he came back for Holiday. Like, I get the feeling that they all kind of square off facing him, and it's almost like he is going to now have to prove himself again to be accepted. And I think it's also interesting that Crosshair has found this interesting trust and patience with Omega that actually the other members don't really have. They're very protective and they kind of only let Omega do things that they're very confident Omega can do. But Omega's like, I know how we're gonna get 30,000 credits, and he's like, I'm sure you do. Let's go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do nothing but take care of Thatcher for this whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I think that's interesting. So maybe Crosshair will actually. I think that this drama of Crosshair trying to gain acceptance is going to continue, and I think there's going to be at least an episode where that is kind of like the main thing that's going on, even if, just whatever the context is, that's going to be the drama that's taking place. And maybe Crosshair's going to show the other ones how to be trustful of young folk. We have the three Lost Boys as well, theoretically waiting
Mm-hmm.
on Pabu.
What you said, Christina, about how reunions aren't always what we want them to be, I think that's also really true. Like, we do have to be kind of careful about what we think that we want to be shown. And also, I just think the most important, the most interesting storyline in the Bad Batch to me is Crosshair and his brothers. And so for me, whether the face off of like that to me is an appropriate cliffhanger, because I want to be thinking about like whether they're going to accept him. And I think I would be actively bothered if I had seen like maybe they embrace him or something, or immediately or something. I don't think it should come easy, and it makes me very curious where they will pick up and what work it will take for them to gain their trust, and also how they will, in their reunion, we'll see how each party has really changed, perhaps. But yeah, it's definitely a tense moment. I want to go back to the solo cello thing that you mentioned, Justin. It sounded like cello viola double, maybe in unison.
It was a group of.
Also, it sounded also like a
solely
fake instruments as well, perhaps, or at least mixed that way. I'm curious. Maybe people can try to guess when is. Let me play what it was. Imagine it a octave lower. It was. When do you think we first heard that?
That was a last season theme, wasn't it?
We did hear it a bit last season.
That was a Crosshair thing.
But we first heard it at the end of the first season.
Oh, that's right. Ooh.
Yeah. And at the very beginning of the Bad Batch season 1, you may recall, Justin, James would recall, but there was like an we were hearing like that minor seventh, and we were like, is the minor seventh associated with Crosshair somehow? And I was, which is why when this showed up, we were like, oh, the minor seventh turned into, see, it was leading somewhere. So, yeah, so it's a callback to that. Yes.
I could see
I like Crosshair's theme from the outpost at the ending. Yes, Lisa noticed it too. I agree with Christina too about Crosshair giving Omega more freedom. Matthew says, I liked the cliffhanger. I think the discussion will be long enough that it couldn't be dealt with in a few minutes. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that as well. I know it's not going to be easy, and it shouldn't just be immediate. I think I just wanted a few words. I just wanted it to keep going.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to take a lot of time for them to figure out what's next for them.
Yeah. What were we going to say, Christina?
I had an idea because of the way you described that theme's development, I suppose, with the seventh. Um, Crosshair kind of didn't have a personality at the beginning to some extent. He really took the I am a soldier thing seriously, and he was also a little less emotive and things like that than some of the other ones. And I think he's maybe, and of course, part of that I think was like some programming that he experienced. But at the same time, I think it's interesting. It maybe it's kind of like that theme follows Crosshair's character arc a little bit. He develops more of a unique personality recently, I think, and maybe and I guess similarly the theme started out just as some intervals. We don't know if they're going anywhere, and then here we actually hear a complete melody, and
Yeah, and I think it is
yeah.
notable that we were hearing the complete melody already at the end of the first season, which was when the only other time that he could have possibly reunited with them, but they kind of rejected him. Um, yeah, I think. Did I lose my train of thought? Oh, I completely lost my train of thought. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Love when that happens. It's so good. Wait, okay. So they're developing a crosshair theme. You were saying, wait, let's retrace the steps. It happened when you were saying,
Character arc.
okay. The character arc of, the
We heard it
personality
at the
thing.
beginning.
That's right. So at the beginning of the show, we were seeing Crosshair constantly being his chip being turned up or whatever. So he really wasn't, he was becoming less like himself. He was becoming less of a person as they were turning his chip control up. And I think it must have, as it's been wearing off and he's gone through the experiences that he's gone through in season 2, he has been able to come back to himself a little bit, kind of realize that the Empire didn't give him all that he promised that they would, all that they promised that they would. It's returned from Camino. Okay.
Also, nothing gives you patience like being one of Hemlock's patients. The amount of patience and tolerance that he had to develop to survive that intact is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Anyone have any other notes about this episode? I think we've been pretty thorough.
I have a final note just about the very ending. Speaking of how it like nothing got resolved, I just enjoyed that there was a single drum hit before the like at the very end. Like the crosshair melody is like not quite descended to its place. We just get a boom. And then the episode ends.
Boo.
It's like, yeah, we're not done.
That little unpitched reverb, but like reverb impact kind of those things like that. Yeah. Last notes. I had to step away for a second to help with some things in my outside life of the stream. But I had written down, I don't know if any of this was covered. There was a cool drum and percussion thing that happened when Omega and Crosshair got to the planet and left that I'm sure James would have awesomely covered for us.
Totally.
It was like a beat and everything. I had a boom, 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 boom. I kind of had a thing going on there. What else did I write? We did the blah, 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 digest music. The droid voice. I really liked the droid voice in the bar. He was like having a great time watching the game. He kind of had like a moment of like having a Scottish accent. I thought he was Scottish for a moment, and then like he would like every word would have like a little bit of a different accent, I feel. But there was definitely a point where he was just like, "She's drawing in quite the crowd" or something like that. I was like, "Oh, Scottish droid, let's
Wait,
do
but
it."
didn't Captain Man kind of have?
He had a. I mean, it's it's space. It's the space British Empire accents, right? It's nondescript UK.
I felt like
He had
Captain
a
Man's
little
was
more-
different than
It was different, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't
his
he?
felt almost Scottish.
Yeah, listen to the part. listen to the part where he catches Omega trying to rescue Batcher, and he's like, "I thought you'd show up here." I can't.
Right,
That's not
right,
the accents
yeah.
I'm great at.
You're right. Yeah, so we were leaning in
Can't
on the
believe
accents there.
that's
Sneaky snake, pulsing,
Yeah.
animals attack, stormtrooper scream. That's what I had.
Cool. Nice. Next episode is called The Return. So.
The return to where? Are we going back to
Return it will
Camino?
be.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Lisa's comment. It's from Return to Camino. Oh, wait. Is that the name of an old episode? I can't remember. Return to Camino. Bad Batch. Oh, yeah, that was... Okay, yeah. That was what I was... That was the... Yeah, I had it listed in my notes as season 1, episode 15. Lisa's further clarifying that is called Return to Camino. Same thing. We're talking about the same thing. Yeah. Part 1 finale.
Or maybe it's just the return of Crosshair.
Sure. Return of the Jedi?
Or the
Return of
Tech?
Return of Tech? Return of the midichlorians. Are we going to say the name?
Return of the midichlorians.
Say the name. Do it. Do it, you cowards.
Midichlorian.
Omega to Hemlock.
Do it, you cowards. Say it.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us for this stream. I think next week, do we have 1 or 2 episodes to talk about? Next week, 2 episodes. No, 1, just another one, just 1 episode to talk about next week. So that will be good. We'll be talking on the 9th, Saturday, 12 p.m. And hope you all can make it. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Maybe I
Outro
should
music.
be a good streamer and like have a thing programmed in here.